Hey, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to share some photos and videos from a recent motorcycle meetup with Beachside Motorcycle Club. My friend Stan, who's a member, invited me down to their monthly group ride in Santa Monica right before they headed up the Pacific Coast Highway. It sounded like the perfect excuse to throw a couple of my cameras in my saddlebags, go get a coffee, and spend the day riding motorcycles. I also had a new camera with me. I just recently picked up this beautiful Yashica T2 from SoCal Cameras. And this would be my very first roll I'd ever put through it. I've been wanting a simple point and shoot that I can toss in my bag for motorcycle rides and travel. So today we're going to see how this does. Let's head over to Bluey's. Beachside Motorcycle Club has been around since 2021, and every meetup I've been to has had the same atmosphere. It's relaxed, welcoming, and full of people who are just excited to spend a Saturday on two wheels. It doesn't matter what you show up on either. You'll see vintage choppers parked next to brand new sport bikes, adventure bikes, Harleys, cafe racers, everything just kind of mixed together. And that's one of my favorite parts about Beachside Moto. So after finishing my coffee, I loaded up the Olympus with a fresh roll of Cinestill 50 daylight film. This was my first time shooting this film, and looking back at the scans, I don't think I could have picked a better match for an overcast morning along the coast in Santa Monica. I was already loving the photos, the exteriors of the cafe, the people having their conversations, and all the bikes parked out front. I felt like the photos really captured exactly what the morning felt like. So it made me really confident to want to go back to this film in the future. One thing I've realized over the last year is that bringing a film camera with me has completely changed the way I experience my motorcycle trips. When I bring one of these along and only have 36 shots to do it on, it naturally slows me down. You start noticing the little conversations people are having, or the way the light is hitting the wall, or maybe it's a tiny detail like something on someone's motorcycle, things that you would just normally walk right past. It's one of the reasons why I love bringing a camera on these trips. After a handful of shots with the Olympus, it was finally time to see what the Yashica could do, so I loaded it with a fresh roll of Kodak Gold 200. And compared to the Olympus, the Yashica feels like a toy. It's got this chunky late 80s plastic design, everything is fully automatic, but the real showstopper is the 35mm 3.5 prime Carl Zeiss lens that's built a pretty legendary reputation over the years. Also, this thing is loud. Every time it advances the film, it sounds like two alley cats arguing over dinner. It's just definitely not the camera you choose if you're trying to be a sneaky little street photographer. My friend Stan finally rolled in, which gave me the perfect excuse to grab a few extra portraits before everyone gathered for the morning meeting. And not long after that, the ride was announced, everyone's helmets were going on, and around 60 riders started heading north out of Santa Monica. And as tempting as it was to ride with the group, I decided to do my own thing instead, only because I wanted to ride at my own pace and leave myself time to stop if something caught my eye. I'd catch back up with everyone later at the Rhinehorn Brewery in Ventura, so for now it was just me, the Triumph, and a couple rolls of film. So I decided to make a stop at Neptune's, and if you've ever ridden the Malibu coast, chances are you've been here before. It's been a long time hangout for motorcyclists, surfers, and just about anyone looking for some fried fish and a beer on the coast. And as usual, parking lot didn't disappoint. This felt like the perfect place to keep putting the Yashica through its paces, and I wandered around the lot, photographing just whatever caught my eye, not really trying to think about things, just the motorcycles, the people hanging out, and all the little moments in between. Right as I was wrapping up a couple photos, I heard motorcycles approaching behind me, so I turned around and somehow the entire Beachside Motorcycle Club came rolling right past my cameras. Definitely a nice little surprise. A few days before the ride, I put up a poll on the YouTube community page asking what you'd like to see more of, and coastal photography ended up getting the most votes. So this one's for you guys. I photographed the same scene with both cameras just to see how they compare. The Olympus definitely gave me more control, while the Yashica reminded me how enjoyable it is just to keep things simple. And honestly, I don't think there's a wrong answer here. Between the different cameras and the two different film stocks I'm using, they each have their own character, and that's part of what makes shooting films so much fun. Also, seeing the Beachside group roll past me a few moments ago was a pretty good reminder that they were already well ahead of me. I still wanted to grab a couple more photos, but I also didn't want to keep my friends still waiting too long for that ice-cold beer at Rincon Brewery. By the time I rolled into Rincon Brewery, everyone had already kind of settled in after the ride, and before heading inside, I wandered around the parking lot for a few last photos. One of my favorites ended up being this portrait of Stan. Again, the crispiness of the lens just absolutely blew me away, and how could I not take a photo of my friend? He was the one who invited me out here on the ride anyway. With a couple beers, good company, and my two cameras still loaded with film, I wasn't in any hurry to head home. As a photographer likes to say, the camera eats first. I wandered around the brewery, grabbing a few candid shots of everyone relaxing after the ride. Those are some of my favorite moments to photograph because no one's really thinking about the cameras anymore. They're just enjoying their afternoon and catching up with friends. I found myself drifting toward the back of the brewery. Something about the beer tanks and pipes and industrial textures really catch my eye, so naturally out come the cameras. This is where the Yashica's built-in flash really started to make sense. For quick indoor snapshots, it was almost effortless. The Olympus took a little bit more patience, but I love the softer look that the Cinestill 50 Daylight gave these scenes. They're just two completely different shooting experiences, and by this point, I wasn't really trying to decide which one was better. I was just having a great time enjoying both these cameras with me. And yes, I couldn't leave without taking the obligatory point-and-shoot bathroom mirror selfie. Before calling it a day, one last place pulled me in, and that was right across the street from the brewery, which was an old abandoned Foster's Freeze. Places like this are almost impossible for me to walk past without stopping for a few photos. I also found this old payphone that was somehow still intact. The bright blues, the reds, and the yellows just popped up against the weathered background, so I photographed it with both cameras. And looking back at the scans, the results were a lot closer than I expected. They each had their own character, but both handled the scene beautifully. As I kept wandering around, I came across these old stools where people used to sit with their burgers, fries, and ice cream. You can't help but imagine what a busy summer afternoon must have looked like here years ago. Before I left, I spotted this little Foster's Freeze mascot tucked onto the blue tile in the wall, and I made one frame with the Yashica and one with the Olympus. And for this shot, the Olympus definitely had the edge. Being able to manually focus exactly where I wanted made all the difference. Looking back at the scans and footage from this day, it was one of my favorites to photograph, and not because every frame was perfect, but because I was thoroughly enjoying myself and hanging with great company and just photographing like whatever caught my attention. This was also the first roll that I had put through the Yashica, and I came away genuinely impressed. Paired with the Kodak Gold 200, this became one of the cameras that I could just throw in my bag and not have to think twice about. The Olympus still gave me some of my favorite shots from the day, but I felt myself like reaching for both cameras for completely different reasons. More than anything though, this ride reminded me why I love bringing film cameras on motorcycle trips to begin with. They don't just change the photos I come home with, but they completely change the experience I have on these rides. A huge thank you to Beachside Motorcycle Club for having me along, and shout out to my friend Stan for the invite. If you have a favorite photo that stood out to you today, please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.